What's up, guys? My name is Gary. Some of you know that already, and some of you are waiting for me to finish a project. I usually build tractors, things that are based on lawnmowers. Go rip them around, drive them up the street, what have you. But I also love cars, and I love diesel engines, which explains the name of this channel. The foresight that I had was not, I didn't know I was going to be building gas-powered lawn tractors for the most of this channel. But that aside, I do have my daily over here, which is a 1983 Mercedes-Benz 300 TD, powered by the 5-cylinder OM617 3-liter turbo diesel. And I did not actually get any footage of what I'm about to show you, so I'm just going to kind of show you a couple pictures, do a little bit of a Gary voiceover, and we are going to take it for a ride and see how much I've ruined this car. So of course I couldn't leave well enough alone. It has a 5-cylinder turbo diesel. I have to hear that thing sing. So first thing I did was I deleted the muffler. And I've been driving this thing around for a while now. Also, just went to the car wash, so she's looking pristine and clean. As pristine and clean as a worn out 5-owner repainted 83 Mercedes could look. Yeah, so the first thing I did was delete the muffler, and actually I'm really happy with that. That came out absolutely brilliantly. I had this pipe just laying around, and it was the exact right length pipe and everything. I just cut the muffler off, shoved that right on. So these cars actually have a 2.5-inch exhaust from the factory, and a 2.5-inch OD pipe will slide right over the factory exhaust. I used to have a Miata, and this 2.5-inch stainless pipe I had gotten off eBay, and I used a section of it to do the tip on my Miata. So I happen to have the exact length pipe just laying around for that. So the next thing I did, that wasn't quite enough. So I ended up deleting the resonator. And here is a picture of that. You can see what that resonator actually looked like. I actually didn't think that was going to make much of a difference, considering it is straight through, but it definitely made a big difference. Phenomenal! So let's pop the hood and see where the next part of this car that I ruined is. So in a previous video, we did a valve job and we polished this valve cover, at least, kind of mildly. There is you can go back a few videos, and I'll try to put a link in the description. I haven't figured out how to do that yet. But one thing we also did was we cleaned up and painted our air cleaner. And so this is the original air cleaner. And you can see, I'm sure Mercedes did a pretty good job designing this. But on a turbo car, a turbocharger in general, having a kind of a backflow and then up into there, and looks pretty good on the inside. It's got like a nice venturi in there and everything, but then it has to come through the front of this as well. It's really definitely a restriction for a turbocharged car. It is definitely a restriction on the turbocharger. Now, it's actually kind of funny. There's no heat shield that goes in between the turbo as well. So on the turbo, it's a reverse flow head design. So the intake and the exhaust manifold are right on the same side. And that air cleaner it actually bolted. There was a bracket that bolted here. And it sat right on top of that turbo. Now, I really just wanted to do the intake on this. I didn't even say that yet. We did an intake. We made this into a pure Ricer tuner car now. Like I said, ruining this thing one piece at a time. And, yeah, so one thing is, as I was driving it around, I noticed there was a definite intake note that was being suppressed. I could hear it slightly, a little bit of a when I'd let off. Now, unfortunately, the whistling has gone away. It must have been a consequence of the design of this. However that is, there was a whistling or a howling. Not anymore, but there is a significant increase in noise overall, though. The turbo, it really spools now. You can really hear it, I should say. As I like to say, it's making some really spooly sounds now. I put this together for free, junk I had laying around. So I had a long time ago, I had bought a 3-inch intercooler pipe kit for a project I never did. So this intercooler pipe, or this piece of an intercooler pipe, is like, I've had this for over 10 years. I think this filter, which I'm going to get another filter, this is just a filter I had laying around, was on my Fox body when I got it years ago, over 10 years ago. And of course the coupler, can you see that right there? That was on my Saab SPG 900 Turbo. And there you go. We did a free intake. So that's actually going inside of the pipe instead of over it. And same thing here. The filter's going inside the pipe. But yeah, big difference in sound. Almost want to say I ruined the car because frankly, the intake, I think, is louder than the exhaust when you're driving it. I mean, it really does make some noise. The turbo spooling sounds great, though. I love it. So, like I said, it got rid of the sound of it going, and it kind of was replaced by a simple, very basic. Either way, it was basically making no noise before, as you would expect. It is a Mercedes. So, let's get this thing out on the road. And I've already tried filming from the inside. Unfortunately, it does not do it justice. You really can't hear the intake very much on video anyway. Driving it in person, it is very noisy. But so let's take it for a drive, and maybe we'll try to get a shot from the outside and see how she sounds. Another thing I'll address real quick for you Gale Banks fans out there. Yeah, that could be considered a hot air intake. The original air cleaner had a snorkel pipe that went right to the front above the headlight to suck in cool air. However, the intake, or the air cleaner itself, was right above the turbo. There's no heat shield in between it, so it would actually heat soak. It would be quite hot. So how much of a difference was that making? Was it offset by the fact that it was sucking in air off the front? I don't know. But I will say this. We've actually gained boost. It literally makes about a half a pound, possibly even a pound, but definitely a noticeable on the gauge difference of more boost. And that tells us we are getting more flow. Also, once I was done driving it, I drove it pretty hard and drove it a lot. The intake pipe itself was not warm at all. So it really, there's not that much hot air happening right there. It probably isn't that much different as far as the overall temperature of the inlet air, but we don't have that heat soaking air cleaner now, and we have more flow. I mean, it definitely flows better because we have more boost. Anytime the inlet is restricted on a turbocharger, it can affect the output of that turbocharger. It can restrict boost. And boost pressure, really, boost is just a restriction on the engine. So theoretically, if you had a better flowing cylinder head, it would actually make less boost, but more power. So boost really is just a measurement of restriction. But on the inlet side of a turbocharger, anytime you can free up the restriction or remove a restriction from the front or the inlet of a turbocharger, you're going to increase its efficiency and it'll likely show more boost. So that's what's happening. So again, let's take this thing for a bloody drive and see how loud and obnoxious and annoying it is now that we've done these modifications to an otherwise perfectly good, all original stock exhaust and intake. Yeah, what was I thinking? All right, let's go. All right, let's take this thing up the road. Hopefully you can actually hear something. So the exhaust from in here is just going to sound like a general rumble, but the real big difference was the intake. The sucking of the turbo, the spooling of the turbo is very much a thing now, and it was not at all. Like before, you couldn't hear the turbo pretty much at all. It was just... So before, you couldn't hear the turbo pretty much at all. Only when you let off and you were really listening, you could hear it kind of discharge, like very, very faintly though. So now it doesn't quite do that howling sound. It kind of just does a different, like, almost sounds like a blow-off valve. Private driveway. They added a sign, and I didn't know that. Interesting. Let's go. It's not fully warmed up yet. That's only spooling up part way to like 5 psi. So it made about 8.5 psi before, and now it's making like a solid 9. Still go easy on it while it warms up. Thing is, I still gotta actually finish the resonator delete because I only welded it while it was on the car. So there's like a section on the top that's definitely leaking. I can see the soot coming out of it. So I gotta get that. I actually gotta drop the exhaust off completely. I gotta take it apart at the front here and drop the thing down. There's actually only 2 hangers. Basically the pipe connects at the front up here. And there's just a hanger at the tailpipe and a hanger kind of, I think just before or just after the axle. So right now, the way I have it set up, there's only 1 hanger actually in the back, because the tailpipe hanger was kind of unnecessary once the weight of the muffler was gone. Of course, all I'm doing is talking, so you're not being able to hear this thing. Let's take her down our favorite road here. Yeah, I'm still letting it warm up. It's not quite up to 80 degrees yet. 80 degrees Celsius, of course. It's in the road. Somebody's hat. It's actually more noticeable with the windows up than with them down. The windows down and see what she sounds like. The exhaust is a little more noisy with it open. But the cardinal rule of YouTube videography from in a car is to have the windows up. But of course, if you're not going that fast, it might not be a big deal. Let's stop. Let's see what she sounds like under full power. Just cracked, almost seems like the optimal. That side just open because of course the intake's on that side. This thing sounds like the windows are down when they're up anyway. The weather stripping is completely wasted on the doors. Let's see. Do I want to get an outside shot from this road on my own? Maybe, since we did before. Get like back to that. Well, right in the third. So I think the exhaust note or the exhaust intrusion that I'm getting into the car, not fumes but sound, I think it's from it not being completely welded. It's leaking a bit. I think that should quiet down a little bit. It's honestly still really pretty quiet when driving. The intake, the turbo spooling is more noisy than anything. With the windows up anyway. Jump there, not quite. We didn't really jump it, but it gets the illusion of a jump. Up and over there. Yeah, let me set you up. See what she sounds like. Since I did film the car here when it was totally stock, it'd be a nice to hear what it sounds like in the woods with the pipe and the intake. And we're on a road where we're in Mexico. Not only are we in Mexico, we're on a closed private road in Mexico. So there's really nothing to be concerned about over here. See if I can find a good spot here where we did it before. So we're in the middle of nowhere now, closed road in Mexico. I wanted to actually let you hear what this thing really sounds like at idle. And even, I don't know if it's going to come across on camera, but even at idle, the intake note of this thing is just like you can really hear it. So let me just do a kind of a walk around, see what you can hear. The idle is way more aggressive now. Probably should put that rear hanger on the tailpipe since it is jumping around quite a bit. see that every fucking bloody day up here.
No.
Cheering.
Was he?
I thought he was going to be telling me to slow down, but he was cheering me on, I think.
No kidding.
Yeah. And this thing is a fucking boat in the turn.
It is, totally.
I think it needs an alignment.
I think he probably liked the car.
It needs, oh yeah, for sure. It needs an alignment and tires. But it was so fucking like understeery in the corners. one day?
Yeah.
I think we're good. I think that's good enough. And that's going to do it for this one. Kind of a last minute video I threw together. Have not gotten anything else done with the stuff I'm supposed to be doing here on this channel. So, Brian, aka 57 Chev, I do not have your updates. I mean, the update is sitting right here, and it looks about the same as the last time you saw it. So, we will eventually be getting back to this thing here. Still got more work to do on that as always. And of course, it is getting to winter, or it's getting cold out and the weather sucks anymore. So I don't know if we're ever going to be getting this Camaro any further this year, unfortunately. And I have a starter issue with the truck. So I have I have to get the solenoid for the starter. I'll show you that real quick. So there's the massive starter for the 3208, and the solenoid here I have to replace. That's no good. So get that back together, we'll get this truck going again, and we can get back to the normal routine. I haven't been wanting to do any work on this machine over here, but we will definitely be getting back to it. I know I say that every time, but thank you guys. Go ahead and like, subscribe, comment. Thank you guys who are subscribed. I really appreciate it. And I appreciate you watching. I'll see you next time.